Hi, and welcome back. Welcome back to the Garden of Grace devotion. My name is Pastor Katie, and I'm one of the pastors at Trinity Lutheran Church in Lilburn, Georgia. Today I wonder, have you ever noticed that there are different seasons in your life? Very obviously, there are different seasons in our year, right? And we have now begun the season of spring, when nature is waking up and there's an abundance of pollen. Also the beauty of flowers. So very obviously, there are different seasons in creation. But have you ever noticed that there are different seasons in your life? Here's what I mean by that. For the last couple of months, I've noticed that I have been in a season where I feel as though God has been inviting me to slow down and pay attention. It started for me with the snowfall a couple of months ago, and the first snowfall that was like fluffy and fun. And I went for a run in the powder, and it was really fun. But it was an entirely different experience than usual. I wasn't trying to see how fast I could go. I was just enjoying it. In fact, I had to go slowly so that I would be safe and not fall, which I'm prone to do anyway. So I remember jogging slowly in that snow, seeing things that I wouldn't normally when I ran, because I was just focused on going faster typically, but slowing down and appreciating the journey. So that was kind of the beginning, and it became a theme. I felt God leading me to slow down and pay attention. And since I've been doing that, I've had some experiences that have really caught my attention. One of which was just a couple of days ago here in my neighborhood. I was walking with a friend, and I noticed once again some new neighbors that we have that I hadn't taken the time to stop and say hello to yet. But we were walking, and we were getting towards the end of our walk, and I saw these new neighbors in their yard, and for the second time in a matter of days, the wave that I received back from the woman was like, hey, like, come say hello. A particularly friendly wave. You know the difference, like, between and hey. It was one of those. It was a hi. And so I said to my friend, I'm going to make the time to do this. I'm going to go say hello. We were at the end of our walk anyway. And it just so happened that I was walking back towards these new neighbors to their house to say hello. And as though God was particularly, it seemed like maybe wanting to get my attention, at that very moment, a Trinity member pulled up in front of this woman's house and stopped and got out of her car. And I saw her and I thought, wow. And she saw me and she said, what are you doing here? And I said, I live here. I live up the street. Well, she had a flat tire. We gave each other a hug, and she explained to the woman, my new neighbor, that she had a flat tire and she had a friend who was taking her to get what she needed. How about that? So I took the time to stop, say hello to the Trinity person. And then I stayed and I talked with my new neighbor. And I listened to her for a while. And I learned some things about her and her son. Her son was there too. And I took my time. My watch had lost battery and died. I didn't have my phone with me, so I couldn't be disturbed. And I listened. And over the course of the conversation, she asked me something about another neighbor who had come over days before, seeming confused. About a year and a half ago, I offered a devotion on that same woman who had a period of time where she was confused and she needed some help, and I was able to offer some support along with some great help from local law enforcement. And so this new neighbor asked me about this same woman that I'd journeyed with a year and a half ago. She said she seemed confused. She came over several days ago. And I thought, it's probably time to check and see what's happening there. So because there had been some challenges in the situation before, I reached out to this the same officer that I know very well, that had helped a year and a half ago, and I said, what do I do? Should I go and knock? Should I call for a wellness check? And he said, no, call for a wellness check. And the way that you do that is you just call the non-emergency police line for your county, and you let them know that you have a concern about a neighbor. And so I did. I called, and now here comes another neighbor that I'm going to wave at. Good morning. So I called the non-emergency line, and I just let them know we had, this kind of situation a year and a half ago, and I'm concerned, So they did their thing, and they sent out somebody to check on her. I was able to remain anonymous. And I felt kind of guilty about not going and just knocking on the door first myself, but I took the good advice of the officer that I know well. And they came out and they checked, and the woman really needed help. She had needed some help for some days, and she got it. And she's now at the hospital getting the help that she needs. You know that joke about somebody saying, they're looking for God, and I sent you this sign, and I sent you that sign, and I sent you that sign. I feel like that day, a couple of days ago, when I was walking with my friend, God had already, I think, invited me to slow down and pay attention. But lest I miss talking to this neighbor and learning about this other neighbor that needed help, I believe God also sent me a Trinity member with a flat tire. I don't think that God caused the flat tire so this could get attention, but I do believe that God made something good out of it all. And because I slowed down and paid attention, I was able to get some help for somebody who needed it. I've been hearing those kind of stories over and over recently, and I've been experiencing similar stories recently because I have been slowing down and paying attention. So I wonder if you've ever had such a season in your life where you have felt led to slow down and pay attention. Spring is a really neat time to do that. This spring especially, since I've been slowing down, I've been seeing things like plants coming back to life. Last spring I missed it. My mother-in-law had just passed, and I was in a cloud of grief. So I missed things like this grapevine coming to life. One day I just looked and there were leaves everywhere and buds. This year I'm paying attention as these sticks are starting to come to life. You probably can't see it, but there's a little bud right here, actually right here, that probably within the coming weeks will become a leaf. Slowing down allows me to see that happen, allows me to see God at work in the world. I'm going to close today with a passage from Ecclesiastes. Everything has its time, it reads. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to pluck up what is planted. I'm going to stop there for this season of spring with just Ecclesiastes 1 and 2. This is the season to plant. For me, it's also a season to slow down and pay attention. What kind of season is it for you? What do you see? What do you notice? How is God at work in you and around you and in the world? Thanks be to God, who's at work in each one of us, in ways that we see it and in ways that we don't. I pray God's peace for you in this journey and always. Amen.